My name is Xavier Robert, coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiakurin. A very good evening to you. And today on Worldview, emergency UN meeting to be held tomorrow. Russia targets reporter with raid and probe over war criticisms. Plus, Trump declines to answer questions in New York civil probe. Details of these stories and more in a moment. Has requested an urgent meeting of the UN Security Council to discuss the situation at the Zaporizhzhia power plant. Russia's representative to international organizations in Vienna, Mikhail Ulyanov, announced this in a statement. Ulyanov said the meeting will be held tomorrow in New York. He also accused Ukraine of creating artificial obstacles and difficulties to a potential International Atomic Energy Agency mission in the nuclear power plant. In the meantime, EU member states will not be allowed to import any more coal from Russia after the transitional period for bloc's embargo ends today at midnight. The embargo was part of the fifth sanctions package agreed by the EU in April and will be in full force from tomorrow onwards. Now, EU countries had agreed on a transitional period of 120 days to give the industry time to adapt to the import ban, which is aimed at weakening the Russian economy. Now, it could be recalled that the European Commission, the EU's executive arm, had said in April that the coal embargo could cost Russia $8 billion annually. Meanwhile, G7 have said they remain profoundly concerned by the serious threats posed by Russia's actions around Ukraine's Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. They say the actions of Russia's armed forces are significantly raising the risk of a nuclear accident and endangering the population of Ukraine, neighboring states, and the international community. The G7 reiterated their condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which they called an unprovoked and unjustifiable war of aggression. They said Russia's actions also undermined the ability of the International Atomic Energy Agency to monitor the safety of nuclear activities in Ukraine. In a related development, Russian authorities have raided the home of a former state TV journalist, Marina Ovsyannikova, who quit after making an on-air protest against the war in Ukraine. Her lawyer, Dmitry Zakvatov, told newsmen that authorities had also launched a case against Ovsyannikova under a new law enacted after the February 24 invasion of Ukraine that penalizes statements against the military. He said a conviction was punishable by up to 15 years in prison. He added that the case was likely linked to a protest Ovsyannikova staged last month, holding a banner that read, "Putin is a killer, his soldiers are fascists." Ovsyannikova used to work as a producer with Russian state-funded Channel 1. She made international headlines on March 14 when she appeared behind the anchor of an evening news broadcast holding a poster that said, "Stop the war, don't believe the propaganda. They are lying to you here." The reporter, who was charged with disparaging the Russian military and fined 30,000 rubles, has since staged several anti-war protests and spoken out publicly against the conflict numerous times. Now, Ukraine's Air Force says 9 Russian warplanes were destroyed in the explosions that rocked a Russian air base in the annexed Crimean Peninsula. The Air Force's claim, posted on Facebook alongside the overall losses Kyiv says Russia has suffered during the war, came amid speculation the blasts were the result of a Ukrainian attack that would represent a significant escalation in the conflict. Russia has said the explosions were detonations of stored ammunition, not the result of an attack. But Ukraine suggested the blasts could have been caused by Russian incompetence or an attack by partisans. More on developments from Russia's invasion. Ukrainian military has reported that a bridge in the occupied part of Kherson region has been rendered unusable after being struck by artillery earlier in the week. In a Facebook update, Operational Command South said its fire controller over transport and logistical routes in the temporarily occupied territory of Kherson had rendered the bridge near the Kakhovka hydroelectric plant unusable. It said the strike was delicate but effective. Still on the crisis in Ukraine, Russian appointed governor of Crimea has said one person who was killed and 14 others wounded during a series of blasts at a Russian air base on the annexed peninsula. Sergei Avzyonov said in a Telegram post that 252 people had also been moved to temporary accommodation facilities following the blasts. He added that Russia's investigative committee, a federal body charged with investigating major crimes, was undertaking inspections of the Saki base on the Black Sea as part of an investigation into the explosions there. Now, Russia's defense ministry has denied that the base had been shelled amid speculation it may have been attacked by Ukrainian forces, and instead said munitions had blown up there. Meanwhile, Denmark will send military instructors to Britain to help train Ukrainian soldiers and also offer to train Ukrainian officers on its soil. The Danish Defense Ministry confirmed this in a statement today. It said Denmark would support the British-led training project with 130 Danish soldiers. The ministry noted that the instructors will provide basic military training, including urban combat and tactical operations, to Ukrainian soldiers with zero to limited military experience. Now, Denmark has contributed to both British and Canadian training missions in Ukraine since 2015 and provided weapons and cybersecurity support to Ukraine since Russia invaded its neighbor in February. Now, in another development, Russian President Vladimir Putin has held a phone conversation with Malian Transitional President Assimi Goïta. The Kremlin confirmed this in a statement. It said Putin had discussed issues of further development of bilateral cooperation in trade, economic, and other fields. Well, beluga put down during dramatic rescue mission. We'll bring you this and more after the break. Many thanks for staying tuned. Moving on now to the U.S., where former President Donald Trump has declined to answer questions under oath in New York over alleged fraud at his family business. This is as legal pressures pile up for Trump, whose house was raided by the FBI just 2 days ago. Trump said he had no choice but to invoke the Fifth Amendment, which allows individuals to remain silent to protect against self-incrimination under questioning. In a statement, Trump said he declined to answer the questions under the rights and privileges afforded to every citizen under the United States Constitution, adding that he took the advice from his legal counsel. Trump earlier said on social media he was in the offices of New York Attorney General Letitia James, whose investigation is one of several active probes into the brash billionaire's business practices and other actions. Now, the former president took to his Truth Social platform to launch a barrage of attacks on James, branding her a racist attorney general who is trying to get him. Away from that, China says it will resolutely fight back should the U.S. make one more provocation. Now, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin gave a warning at a daily press conference today. He said the U.S. side should ditch the idea of using Taiwan to contain China before it was too late. The spokesperson reiterated that U.S. House of Representatives Nancy Pelosi's recent Taiwan visit violated the One China principle and is a serious provocation. He also defended Chinese countermeasures in the wake of the visit, saying the measures are fully reasonable, appropriate, and moderate, and were imposed after U.S. provocations. Elsewhere, a fire that destroyed thousands of hectares of tinder-dry forest in southwest France has flared again amid a fierce drought and the summer's latest wave of extreme heat. In a statement, the Gironde regional officials said an additional 6,000 hectares of pine forest had burned in the Landiras blaze since yesterday, forcing the evacuation of about 6,000 people. The prefecture said the fire was extremely violent and had spread to the Landes department further south, home of the Landes de Gascogne Regional Park, adding that further evacuations were likely. Away from that, Greek authorities say a big search and rescue operation has been launched east of the island of Kapathos after a boat reportedly carrying dozens of migrants had refugees sank overnight. The Coast Guard said 29 people, all men, had been rescued from the sea 33 nautical miles southeast of Kapathos, which is a southeastern island between Rhodes and Crete. The Coast Guard said those rescued were from Afghanistan, Iraq, and Iran, and told authorities that there had been about 60 to 80 people on board the vessel when it went down. Those rescued said the boat had set sail from the Antalya area on the southern Turkish coast and was aiming for Italy when it ran into trouble during the night. Now, the Guard said 2 Coast Guard patrol boats, a Greek Navy vessel, an Air Force helicopter, and at least 3 ships sailing nearby were participating in the search and rescue efforts. Powerful Iraqi cleric Muqtada al-Sadr has called on the country's judiciary to dissolve the parliament by end of next week. He made the call today in a statement. Protesters rallied by Sadr and his Sadrist movement tore down concrete barriers and entered the Green Zone, which houses government departments and foreign missions, before breaking into parliament last month. Elsewhere, a beluga whale that became stranded in France's Seine River has had to be put down, ending a dramatic rescue mission that captivated world audiences. Officials say vets took the decision as the 4-meter mammal was being moved in a refrigerated truck. Overnight, rescuers spent nearly 6 hours lifting the 800-kilogram whale from the river using a crane and nets. They had planned to release the animal in the sea, but its health deteriorated after failing to eat. Now, Sea Shepherd, France Conservation Group, wrote on Twitter post that it was with heavy hearts they announced the beluga did not survive. Now, in health, scientists are tracking a new animal-derived virus in eastern China that has infected at least several dozen people. The novel Langia henipavirus LAV was found in 35 patients in the Shandong and Henan provinces. Many reportedly had symptoms such as fever, fatigue, and a cough. They are thought to have contracted the virus from animals, but there is no evidence so far that LAYV can transmit among humans. Now, researchers detected the virus predominantly in shoes. The discovery was highlighted in a letter written by researchers from China, Singapore, and Australia and published in the New England Journal of Medicine this month. Now, author-illustrator Raymond Briggs, best known for his 1978 classic The Snowman, has died at the age of 88. His death was confirmed by his family, who said he was much loved and will be deeply missed. The Snowman was turned into a BAFTA TV award-winning animated TV film in 1982. According to the managing director of Penguin Random House Children's, Francesca Doe, Raymond's books are picture masterpieces that address some of the fundamental questions of what it is to be human, speaking to both adults and children with a remarkable economy of words and illustrations. And now finally on Worldview, The Kite Runner has become the first show on Broadway to require audiences to wear masks at certain performances. The move is particularly notable as the show's weekly mask-only night will be on Fridays, one of the most popular nights in New York's theater district. Fans who are disabled or have other health vulnerabilities have long called for theaters to host mask-only nights. However, the major theaters in London's West End have yet to introduce such a scheme. And with that, we wrap up our package for you on Worldview today. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. I am Xavier Roberts, reaching you from the beautiful hills of Ibiakuran, and you have been watching Worldview on Spectrum TV. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.